Good morning, people. It's Monday afternoon, and I'm in the bowels of another gas boiler. This is the boiler, the Combi that used to heat my house in Driffield, and it has been taken out and changed for an Intergas, which has, I think it's got two moving components and is reliable as hell. So these are getting stripped down. This is number 2. Number 1 is over there, stripped and ready to go for scrap. This is number 2 being stripped and going for scrap. I'll take the more valuable scrap off it and weigh that in separately. And shortly number 3 will be going, and then I shall be moving on to several Briggs and Stratton engines, which are also going for scrap unless my friend Malcolm Gill wants them. And if Malcolm Gill wants them, Malcolm Gill is welcome to them, because he's done all sorts of favours for me over the years and he can have them. So I'll need to find his number and give him a ring tonight and see if he's interested or not. But there you go. Right, I shall crack on. I've had a bit of a long morning. I had to go and pick some meds up for Catherine, and then I had to go and see Keith. I had to go and see Keith's son, actually, who lives in Driffield, just down the road from the chemist. So I combined those two, and then I went and did a bit of shopping. And now I've got the rest of the week to me sen to tidy up downstairs. The reason I'm tidying up downstairs is so that I can get rid of lots of things which I don't really want, and store stuff which I do want. Right? And that's what I'm doing. So the next few days, until I'm bored with it, will be tidying up. Some of the parts have come for the strimmers. The bulbs have come. I ordered 5 22mm bulbs and 5 19mm bulbs. So I've got bulbs in stock because I very often need them and very often ask for them. I've got spark plugs coming. I've got diaphragm kits coming. I've got the bulbs here. I've got the carbon brushes for the angle grinder here. So there's loads of little jobs I can get cracked off now. I was thinking, for angle grinders, I've seen various people say, oh, bloody angle grinders are always in a mess. I was thinking of a bar up there, standing off from the wall, that I can just hook them on. Just hook the safety guard onto the bar and have them plugged in and ready to go, so I can just lift off the one I want and use it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Probably made out of something like that, bent round and welded to 2 bits of steel. Take 5 or 10 minutes, but it would get them all out from under the bench, and I could just hang them up like that and have them straight away ready to use, just so I can pick them off and use them. Because you have to get them out from under the bench, you have to untangle the cable, find a socket, plug them in, etc, 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 and on and on and on it goes. And it's just a pain. So what you do is, if it's a pain, you make it easier, you sort it out, you think of a way of making it better and do it. Right, that's lots of things booked for this week, isn't it? I'm probably not going to have time. Here's a pump off that boiler I'm just stripping. It's a wireless Samson, which we talked about last week, and I'm just wondering whether it will fit there. And later on, I'm going to look like bigger Allen screws. They look like bigger Allen screws. They are bigger Allen screws. It probably won't fit there. It probably won't. I'm going to have a look anyway. That was working okay, so it's probably a good pump. But I don't particularly like that because it's got a plastic body on it. Never mind. Right then, I'll bring you back when there's something more to show you, people. Bye now. Folks, and another boiler's bit of dust. We've got the nice copper heat exchangers out, and a big cast aluminium heat exchanger. I might save that actually, because I don't think we don't treat aluminium as a separate metal anymore. They just treat it as it just goes in general scrap, so you get next to out for it. So I might keep that for casting purposes, because it is cast aluminium. But that's a copper heat exchanger. and that's a copper heat exchanger. So there you go, plus all the copper pipes of course. So that's another one reduced to scrap and another space made in the stores. So I shall carry on for a few days doing this, and then to fill in the last few minutes I did this carbon brush somewhere, that carbon brush for my angle grinder, and I've got it fitting perfectly, but I need to shorten the spring. I need to put the other spring on it, cut the wire down and put the other spring on it and solder the cap back on it. So I shall do that tomorrow. That one's probably too small, so I'll punch a hole in that one, and that's the one that was on it, so I'll probably reuse that one again. But there you go. So I'll show you how I'll film doing this tomorrow. Easiest way to get carbon brushes, if you can't get a direct spare part, and I've seen they're charging up to like £6, £8 or even £12 for a pair of carbon brushes. Well, these are British made proper Morganite brushes. These cost about £1 a set, I think, £1.50 a set, something like that, and I got 2 sets, they were so cheap. Right, so they're a lot better quality. You need to measure. Get your calipers out and measure the square brush, the width and the length. Right, and then if you can't get one exact, and this one I couldn't, find the closest to it and then just carefully file it until it fits. And that fits that way, like that. Job's done. So you can save old power tools even if you can't get brushes for them. I tried to get Rolson, I searched Rolson all over the place for carbon brushes for the angle grinder. Not a thing. Not a thing. So there you go, I've saved it. Alright folks, that's Monday done, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye for now. Hello one and all, it's Tuesday, and the final gas boiler has arrived up here for the chop, courtesy of being lugged into the boot of my car and dragged round the corner. So on we go. I'm going to start unbolting bits and removing bits and generally destroying it. Both these boilers failed because these things, the pressure vessels, failed. They've got a rubber diaphragm inside them, and when you pressurise the boiler, it pushes the diaphragm against a chamber full of air, and what happens basically is, as the water because it's a sealed system, as the water heats up, it pushes the diaphragm one way and compresses the air, and as it cools down, the diaphragm relaxes, and it allows the pressure to fall without it sucking air in anywhere. And they fail. And these two failed within 2 or 3 years of the boilers being brand new, fitted brand new. And basically there's two ways to cure this. One is to take the boiler off the wall, because the only way you can get that out is by taking the boiler off the wall and change them, which is expensive as you can imagine, or forget about them and fit a pressure vessel somewhere else in the system to do it. And because I had one of these boilers on my wall, and also my father-in-law had one on his wall, and they both proved to be fairly unreliable, and, well, not unreliable, just needed a lot of maintenance to keep them working properly. And so we decided, rather than prat about with them and alter the plumbing to put other pressure vessels in, we'd just take them off and fit new boilers. And I think he fitted a Valent, and I went for an Energas, which is the Dutch one, which has got very few moving parts, none of this crap inside it. It has a gas valve obviously, and it has a pump, but there's no other moving parts, there's no heat exchangers of this type at all. There's no diverter valve at all. Much simpler and therefore much more reliable. And no heat exchangers, no fine cord heat exchangers to block up like those. The heat exchangers are 22mm bore coils of copper, which I think is obvious and simple, and that's what gas boilers need to be, reliable, because these things, combination Combi boilers are just, they're an absolute nightmare of a thing. I mean, look at the way it's built. Imagine having to service that. You take this out of the way. Imagine having to service that through that hole. You've got all these nuts to undo and do up. You've got this to take off. This is right at the back against the wall. You've got this to take off annually, at least, to descale it. Right? This thing, the diverter valve, the diaphragms in these fail constantly, and what happens is you get no hot water, or precious little hot water, because when you send in demand for hot water, the diaphragm doesn't move the valve across and shift it into this heat exchanger here, so you get very little to no hot water. They're a nightmare. They're a nightmare of bad design, you know, and I don't honestly think they're that efficient. They might get more heat out the gas, but if you look at what people spend, if you look at the old gas system boilers, and I'm no gas engineer, I've never had anything to do with it, gas scares me actually, but if you look at the old gas system boilers, they used to go years and years and years not requiring any maintenance, and when they did require maintenance, they needed a few quid's worth of parts replacing, you know, not complicated stuff that costs hundreds of pounds, you know. I mean, the circuit board fails. I don't know how much the circuit board for these are. The flue fan. Oh, the flue fan's been taken out of that one. Have I got a flue fan? Yeah, here's a flue fan. That's the flue fan out of the one that was mine. Right. Very ordinary shaded pole motor. Not heat proof at all. On a very ordinary centrifugal fan. 130 quid they are to replace. And all that goes wrong with them is that the bearings seize up because the oil dries up, and they gradually get slower and slower and slower, and then one day you turn the boiler on, or the thermostat turns the boiler on. This fan doesn't run quite up to speed, so it doesn't produce enough vacuum or enough pressure in the flue to trip the flue switch to tell the boiler that the fan's running, and the boiler locks out. And so you have to have the gas man come and fit you a new flue fan. Now, if I'd had this job done on my gas boiler, right, it would have cost me the price of 3 or 4 flue fans. But what I used to do was switch the boiler off, whip this flue fan out, strip it, lubricate, clean the bearings, lubricate it, put it back together again, lubricate it with proper oil, not WD-40. 3-in-1's okay, but a decent high temperature lubricating oil, something like that's Spindex oil, which is high temperature, high speed stuff. Put it back together, off it goes, and it would be alright for another 6 months or so, and then it would start to go on and it wouldn't fire. I've got a habit of sitting with my finger on the button of this camera, and eventually I pressure it and it switches the bloody thing off. Right, it would sit with, you know, not firing, and then it would fire. Next time you tried it, it would fire and it would be okay. And it's always this seized up. Everybody thinks when something goes wrong with these boilers, I'll say it again, people always look for a complicated problem. Usually it's simple. The flue fan isn't running fast enough. The diaphragm in here is packed up, or this valve has become sticky and it won't move it across. One of these thermistors has failed, right? It's usually something like that. It's very rarely the main control boards, unless they get wet. If they get wet, forget it, they're gone. You know, but they're just so badly designed, so hard to work on, so unreliable, you know, junk. So I'm glad I've got rid and gone onto the is it Energas, Eurogas, can't remember. Made in Holland. Made in Holland. They were designed and built in Holland for Dutch social housing to be a simple, reliable and efficient gas boiler, right? And they certainly are. Right folks, I'm going to crack on with this, and if anything else happens interesting, well, I'll tell you what, I'll bring you back when I'm doing this, and I'll just show you how I go about repairing these brushes and swapping the springs over onto the smaller springs and the different caps. Okay, bye for now. And here we have it folks, the much awaited test of the antique roll plug hammer drill attachment. Let's give it a go. SDS, it isn't. Right folks, the promised piece on making carbon brushes for a power tool. Now then, there's my carbon brush which is made, which fits the orifice, if I put it in the right way around. It wants to be loose but not rattly loose. So there's our brush, and you'll see that I've taken the spring off it because the spring that was on it was too long. And getting the spring off is as simple as leaving the spring on like that and just dabbing the end with a soldering iron. Until it pushes it off, and the spring does the work for you. So there we go. So what I have to do now is to file that brush down till it's that size. So I'll crack on with that, and then when I've done it I'll bring you back and we'll reassemble them. They're two spare brushes. We'll reassemble them with the shorter springs on and the bigger caps. But in order to do that I'm going to have to take these caps off and drill them, because these caps have actually been spot welded. The copper has been resistance welded to the brass cap, so I'm going to have to drill that for a hole to get the wire through. So I'll do that. I'll clean these up so that I'm not going to use those, I won't need those again. So I'll do that, I'll get this brush to fit the same as the other one, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, bye now. Right folks, what I've done here is I've reassembled the brush with the old spring and the old cap, which now has a hole drilled in it thanks to Mr. Dremel, and I have tucked the wire all the way around and underneath so that the spring is holding the whole lot together, and all I need to do now is just put a dab of solder on there, and I might need a bit of flux, but we'll give it a go and see if it'll solder. We'll give it a go and see if it will solder. I've just had to sharpen a tiny drill as well, which was almost at the limits, or probably beyond the limits of my eyesight, so, but I've done it, drilled the hole, and that's all it needs to do. Let's see if that will actually take to that carbon covered wire. Looks like it will. Looks like that's got it. Yep. Yep, that's got it. There's a replacement brush. That's the too long one, that one's shortening down now. What I do with these, to get them to the right size, is just put a little file in the vise, put it in the vise and just rub them carefully on it. And you take them down at the front end until they fit into the hole, and then you just push them gently in, and it leaves little telltale marks on the side of the brush to show you where it wants some more taking off. So there you go. Right, I'm going to assemble this one and solder it, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, bye now. Right, I need to shorten this brush down a bit because this is the standard length and it's a bit too long. When you're shortening brushes down, use a round file, right? And bear in mind that you need to make the brush fit to the curve of the armature because they run a lot smoother and they bed in a lot faster. So I'm going to do that now and I'll bring you back when I've finished. Okay? There she is, folks. Switch repaired, brushes repaired. A useful angle grinder. Okay, I'll catch you later. I'll bring you back if there's anything else to show you. Apart from these carbon brushes that I think were just about worn out. Bye now. Well, that's Tuesday over, folks. And we have all the boilers are stripped. These are copper heat exchangers. I'll try again. These are copper heat exchangers. These two big square ones here are aluminium heat exchangers. That's a burner, that's just scrap. I think that's all steel. But the boilers are stripped and gone. They're all there. So that's job done. And I've started to tidy the bench down. It's still a mess, but I have started. Right, I'll see you all tomorrow. On Thursday, I will be at John's once again, working on Keith's Volvo, but this time the clutch has failed. So it's a new clutch as well. So I shall take you with me and show you some bits and pieces from John's. Alright then, bye now. Good afternoon, people. It's Thursday, it's 3 o'clock. And I've sorted the bench out, so we're a lot better than we were. And I've sorted out 2 central heating pumps and repaired that one by putting a thrust washer, a new thrust washer in it. And one of these central heating pumps, I reckon, with these 2 rubber hoses, which happen to fit perfectly, will make a lube pump, sorry, not a lube pump, a coolant pump for the Combi. So there's a future project, and I've saved the unions that fit the pumps as well, so the pumps are usable. Unfortunately, the Wilo top will not fit the Grundfos body, but you wouldn't expect it would really. Right. Oh look, 3 o'clock. Here's a brew. Right, folks. I'll bring you back if I get anything interesting done. If not, I'll catch you later. What I'm doing at the moment, the last 10 minutes or so, I'm just getting these bits of steel out of these copper heat exchangers, because they look to me like the beginnings of a rotary rack or something, and then the copper goes for scrap, of course, but that looks like the beginnings of something interesting. There you go, that's the sort of odd bugger I am. Bye now. Well, that's it for Wednesday, folks, just after 5 o'clock, and we've got about 20 kilos of copper here in all these heat exchangers, so that's going to bring a few quid. And I'm just looking at the interior of the, this is the flue gas heat exchanger. So the flue gas goes through there, and the water is in here. And I think that maybe there's zinc. This is very heavy. This is not. It feels much heavier than it would if it was aluminium. So I'm going to find out if there's a test I can do for zinc tomorrow. I've whipped some parts off the. I took the apron off the saddle, and I took the front wheel off, hand wheel off, and controls, and I put them to soak in cider vinegar, my patent rust remover. And this That's a blade from a tenon saw, quite a nice Spear and Jackson tenon saw. That's just about finished. That's just about had its finish, so that's clean now. But it fetches the rust off really well. This hasn't started yet. Oh, it's just beginning to get bubbles on it. I generally soak them for 2 or 3 days, and it just dissolves all the rust and off it comes. So there you go. Is it cider? No, it's definitely cider vinegar. Definitely smells of vinegar. Right folks, that's it, and tomorrow I am on the Volvo clutch. So I shall take you with me and we'll do a Volvo clutch at John's garage. Okay, that's it for Wednesday. Bye for now folks. It came off. Right folks, it's Friday morning. I forgot the camera yesterday. Yesterday's progress was subframe down and gearbox out after lots of hassle getting rid of all the parts, but the clutch is off and we're ready for the parts coming today, we hope. So if they come today, we'll crack on and put it back together. And there we go, just gearbox just sits nicely out of the way in there. Right then, I'll bring you back when there's something more to show you. Bye now. Well, that's it folks, it's Friday and job stalled. The clutch kit has arrived and it's the wrong one, you might guess. So we've had to search around on the internet, and as far as we know, we've found one and it's on order, and as soon as it arrives, which is probably going to be at least Monday now, maybe Tuesday, we'll get it back together. But there you go, so that's the end of the day. So I'm off to my mum's now to put a new central heating controller on. So I'll see you all later. Bye now. Right folks, here we are, back at base. We've got lots of eBay goodies, including a 3/16 Whitworth by 2-inch die, because I suddenly realised when I was doing all the stuff for Andy, all the antique repairs, I didn't actually have a 3/16 Whitworth die, although I've got a tap. We've got spark plugs for strimmers. We've got the rectifier for that monitor over there, and the fuses for the monitor came the other day as well. So, and what we got here? Oh, 2 rubber backing pads for grinders, 10mm. What's that? Oh, that's spark plugs. So we've got lots of things to get on with next week. I've just checked my de-rusting stuff, and it's certainly shifting the rust off it. And that saw blade in there is about finished now. That wants to polish up and putting back on its handle, which its handle is up there, finished and ready to be used. So there we go. So now I am going to go and put on my mother's 2-channel central heating programmer. So there we go. So I'll take you up with me and see if I can't burn the house down. Okay, bye now. Here we are folks, and there's mother's new Apple computer that she's changed over to. She keeps up with the technology. She's only 90. So there you go. And there's another view over Langtoft. Another view over Langtoft, over a wild garden. And a cat asleep on the kitchen floor. Alright. She's just gone to a loo, and then I'm going to go upstairs after a cup of tea and put this central heating controller on. Bye now. Hang on a minute. There you go. Up there on the hilltop, that's my cousin Keith's chapel, old chapel, Rehoboth, and next to that and behind it is our field. So that's where we are, and this edge here is where we started doing the commando gardening and putting a new fence up just as COVID hit, and we got locked down and we got broken off it. We've never got back onto it. So there you go. So there's War Keith's house. As you can see, Langtoft is built in a hole on every side. Alright, bye for now. So here we are folks. Can you see that? Can you actually see that? That's the controller. This is the replacement controller. And by the looks of it, after I've checked the connections, it will probably plug into the existing back plate. So I haven't got anywhere near as much to do as I thought I had, but I'll have to check it all out before I'll make a straight swap. So there you go. Right, I'm going to go for a cup of tea. There's the pump I changed the other day. That's the new pump head on the old pump body. Can you see that down there? Yes, you can. That's the old pump with the new body on it, new top on it, and that's working fine now. So there you go. Okay, bye now. And there we are, folks. It was a bit of an anticlimax because it's got a British standard back plate on it and it just plugs straight in. So no installation to do, no wiring to do, just plugged it straight in. So now I've got to work out how to set it up. But that's it. It's in, it's thinking, and it's working. Alright, well, that's about it for Friday, people. So I shall be going up to Keith's in a minute to tell him that his car's not done because it's got the wrong clutch, and that'll be it. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, send me a like, send me a comment, tell me what you think, laugh at me, do anything you like, and I'll see you all next Monday. Bye now.